from the start, from the start, from the start, from the start. Hey, hey, did you hear them sirens playing? Hear them sirens playing from the start, from the start, from the start. Hey, hey, hear them sirens playing from the start.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another round of the Tasman Racing League's Road Series here for Season 2. It is round 4 from Phillip Island, and a lot of drama set for tonight as the qualifying session currently underway is currently taking place under wet conditions. 30 laps ready for us tonight on this, as the name suggests, an island just south of Melbourne. A very fast and flowing racetrack that is more suited and more synonymous indeed, perhaps, especially in international motorsport, with bikes than cars. Tonight, though, it's the GT3s in action around this 4.4 kilometre circuit. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, in commentary for you tonight, with John Wright and Boone Blake alongside me in the commentary box. John feeling a little bit under the weather, so I've been told to use him, as little as possible, but I'm going to ask for the start, John. It's good to be alongside you. This is going to be quite some drama, I think it's fair to say, although to be fair, so was last week at Adelaide.
Indeed it was. Good evening, folks. Hope you're all doing well. Definitely better than I'm doing at the moment, but yeah, slightly under the weather here, much like the drivers are as well. But yeah, drama. It's going to be full neighbours meets home and away here out on track. There was plenty of drama last week, as you say, Ewan, and Phillip Island. More synonymous with bikes, certainly more synonymous with seagulls. Some of the interesting shots that you see there from some of the bike and car racing. It's going to be an interesting one. And the drivers got themselves some slightly tricky conditions underfoot today as well. So it's going to be an exceptionally interesting one. 94% chance of rain. You might as well be living in Scotland with those odds, Ewan.
Absolutely. It does actually, the weather does actually get a bit grizzly down here in Phillip Island from time to time, depending on the time of year, of course. It's one of the most southerly points of, well, it's not quite mainland Australia, is it, because it is on an island, but it's very, very southern Australia. And that, and especially in the winter, the weather does get a bit grizzly down here, especially on the coast as well. As you can see from these aerial shots, we are literally on the coast here, not just sort of near it, but the track is actually limited by it in certain places on the run down towards turn 3. That's how close we are. But yes, it's a remarkable racetrack. 35 laps going to be in use here tonight, and the qualifying session is just about over. So we'll get to the grid in a moment. But the championship standings are looking like this, with Matt Webber currently leading the way. The drop weeks applied, and Lewis Bahagia's win last week has got the gap down to just 10 points. Nicholas Heath is only 21 points back. Oscar Dobbins and Jeremy Newton then are tied for 4th, with Bradley Austin in 6th place. Shannon Corbett another few points back, with Patrick Robinson, Carl Douglas and Martin Walker rounding out the top 10. I'll let the rest of it scroll through on your screen, because there are a lot of drivers who've scored points so far this season. 38 of them, as far as I can see. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, there they all are, all the way down to Martin Hallinan, who's only scored 3 points so far from the rounds of this season. Today, we've got 32 of them on the grid, and maybe there will be a couple of latecomers there at the bottom of the field. You can see Jeremy Newton and Tate Gendall in the server at the moment. So I wonder whether we are going to get them into the race as well or not, but let's wait and see on that. You can see the maybe in the distance the drivers on the grid at the moment as the pace car pulls away, and will be underway for a formation lap in damp conditions. It doesn't quite look like it's raining at the moment, but everybody has decided to go for the wet tyres, apart from David Carney, by the way, at the back of the field. I'll go through the grid though in the meantime as the drivers are off on their way for this formation lap around this 4 kilometre circuit. It's Lewis Bahagia who's taken a pole position here in front of Nicholas Heath, so second and third in the or second and fourth rather, in the championship are up there in the qualifying session too. Brady Daff and Carl Douglas then on row 2 ahead of Joe De La Rosa and Jadison Snedden. Matt Webber down in 7th, his worst qualifying of the season so far. Oscar Dobbins next ahead of Bradley Austin. Tim Patterson is running at the top 10. Then Damien Coates and Stephen Scully on row 6. Rafael Custodio is in 13th ahead of Darren Justice. Jordan Nelson and Patrick Robinson on row 8 ahead of Martin Walker and Shannon Corbett. Dale Horn and Anthony Kappen round out the top 20. 21st has gone to Jack Tovey, who's alongside Ben Christian, Jay Stern and AJ Gilroy on row 12 ahead of Manuel Dodra and Greg Goodfellow. Scott White and David Noden on road 14 of Zach Vilitstra and Rob Tilley. Samuel Mader and David Carney will be the last starters because Jamie Newton taking at the back end of the field, not starting at the moment. That is it as far. Scott White seems to be not starting as well, so we'll see what happens to him. Boone Blake also with us here this evening in this fourth round of the championship. Good evening, Blake. It's changeable conditions for the first time this season. Just how difficult is this going to be to deal with here at Phillip Island tonight?
Oh, Ewan, it's going to be almost impossible for some of these drivers. It all depends on how much practice you've had in the rain, but already I've been monitoring the road chat and I've seen a handful of drivers talking about how difficult the conditions were in qualifying. That includes our usual pole favorite, Matt Webber, who struggled quite a bit in qualifying this time out, almost lost it on both laps by his own account, and he's starting down in 7th today. So that just goes to show how even the most successful drivers in this field can absolutely be caught out by these conditions, and it hasn't even really started raining yet.
Yeah, indeed. He's won 2 out of the 3 races so far, Matt Webber, and I think he will feel last week was a bit of a missed opportunity to make it 3 out of 3, but he is going to be in it with everybody else here in this race tonight, as the pace car will go on for another lap here, so they'll get just a couple of laps to get themselves up to speed. The track temperature is actually quite high for a wet race, 32 degrees Celsius, which is not bad at all considering these conditions. But what's the outlook, Boone, in terms of the weather conditions continuing on here? As you say, it hasn't really started raining yet. In fact, I can't really see any rain falling at the moment at all. It just seems that the track is still wet from before.
No rain at the moment. It's a little damp. Looking forward through the rest of the race, we've got approximately a 64-65% chance of rain for the entire event, so it's more likely than not that we're going to see some weather move in here at some point, but when it moves in is going to, I think, be the deciding factor for pit strategy today. If these drivers can guess correctly when they're going to need to potentially go to wet tires or when they can stop to take advantage of the rain, it could prove to be a massive advantage on a day when moving up positions might be a little difficult.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, a lot of the drivers at the moment are on wet tyres in this race, even now, even though it isn't raining at the moment. David Carney is one of those, he's last in the field, of course, but one of those who's gone for the dry tyres straight away here. I do wonder how he's going to go, because a lot of times in iRacing you can see the spray and the dry tyres are actually still the way to go sometimes, even though you can still see the spray, which is a little bit counterintuitive. But just wonder how he's going to go, and if that is going to be the strategy, the dry tyre is going to be the strategy and these wets are going to sort of burn themselves out maybe, or indeed we're going to see those wet tyres sort of used throughout the whole of the race here maybe.
I would expect to see the dry tires work here at first. It still looks like good dry tire conditions to me as I search for my telemetry link so I can see where we actually are in terms of tire strategy. That's going to be very helpful for me. But no, I would, based on just what I'm seeing with my eyes right now, I'd go with the dries at the moment. But now as we start to see a little bit of rain maybe beginning to fall already as we come towards the green flag here. I'm not sure if you were seeing that there, Ewan, but it looked like, at least at some points on the track, it may be starting to rain.
Yeah, I did see that actually through one of the camera shots through Siberia there on the opening lap of this race, or indeed the formation lap, I should say, the second of 2 formation laps here in the rain. Now, is the safety car going to come in this time round and get this race underway? Let's see if it takes the hard left turn onto pit lane or not. Entirely sure for the moment. It does indeed, so it was quite late, but it always is. Oh, and straight away, look at that. Lewis Pahagia not waiting around at all, and that's probably the smart thing to do as he goes around the final corner, accelerating around the final corner carefully, it would have been, but he's caught everybody else off guard, and look at that, just as we see the green flag, another burst of rain on the front straight here. It's certainly wet weather conditions now, as if it wasn't already before. Into turn one, Pahagia goes a little bit deep into the first corner, and he's setting the tone for the rest of the field, who all get through nice and cleanly. Matt Webber, in the meantime, is in 6th place. He's already got past Jason Snedden. Oh, in trouble in front of him. Bradley Austin goes wide. Webber is struggling to battle here with Oscar Dobbins, who goes right round him here and makes his way up into 6th position. Webber is now behind De La Rosa as well, because Snedden went off in front of them, so he's back to where he started here. Matt Webber coming down in towards turn 4 here, Boone, as he mentioned, even the best drivers struggling in these conditions.
And it's absolute wet weather conditions. There is, as Webber goes around, oh no, off into the gravel pit. He got hooked by one of the Mercedes there. Looked like Joe De La Rosa or Tim Pattinson, I think. I didn't see exactly. We'll have to get a replay on that, but that just proves the point. Webber already plummeting down the order to 13th position. We saw David Carney, the only driver starting the race on dry tires, come right into the pits before the green flag for those wets. And yeah, Webber the Mercedes gets into his quarter panel there, sent around. Fortunate not to have damage, but he's going to be, I think, fuming about that one.
I think it was De La Rosa. Meantime, this is Bradley Austin, who can't stop falling backwards at the moment. Matt Webber gets back past him at least, and Shannon Corbett, who is also now down a place. Joe De La Rosa losing positions here as well, 1 or 2 anyway, coming towards the end of the opening lap. David Carney came into the pit lane after the end of the 2 formation laps, only just coming out now after a 4 tyre change onto the wet tyres, and that's probably the right call, given the fact that it did start raining as they came to the green flag a couple of moments ago. I get into watching on, by the way, everybody at home. Somebody reminded me that Scott White's stewarding, not racing, so that's the reason for that non-start. And Jeremy Newton has texted in to say that a pin has snapped in his wheel rim just before this race, and so is not able to start. They're the only non-starters, though. Those 2 down the back of the field. 31 drivers out the 33 in the session have still been able to get up there. Look at the lead that Lewis Pahagia's got. 4 seconds coming towards the end of the second lap here. This is a remarkable lead from Lewis Pahagia at the moment, and he's showing, I think, Boone, himself to be one of the best in these difficult conditions.
Well, he's qualified on pole. He's taken off immediately as soon as the green flag flew, didn't wait around at all, and he's already pulled out nearly a 5-second gap as we see now a Mercedes off the road. Oscar Dobbins, who is running well in this race. Let's see what happened here.
Oh, it's just on his own.
And that just goes around so easily and collects one of the Ferraris on the way past, looked like, just a bit. And this is just such a bad location to get stuck. Dobbins trying to back up, but obviously there's not a lot you can do to rejoin safely there. He's going to have to wait for just this whole pack to go through as we see a couple of cars sliding around that corner. Just so slippery, and it's deceptive right now, I think, Ewan, because when you look out your windshield, conditions look not terrible. It's not raining on all parts of the track. It's sunny out in a lot of places. The spray doesn't seem terrible, but it is so slippery out there right now, even on full wets.
Yeah, it does seem that it is. Martin Walker now dropping down the field from a pit stop here in that Porsche, and off the track for Joe De La Rosa now, just further up the road. We're going to see here. Oh, and a spin for Dobbins. He's going to hit the wall again, is he? In turn 1. Oh, he saves it from that at least, but he's gone for another spin here, or at least a half spin, and there's definitely damage on that rear end that's affecting Oscar Dobbins at the moment. This is an unparalleled opportunity to gain points on Matt Webber, but I'm afraid some of the main contenders aren't taking it right now. Let's have a look at some replays here on the opening laps of this race. David Noden going for a spin here, and thankfully doesn't spit himself back onto the racetrack with a BMW oncoming there. Has to wait a little bit before getting back going again here. There we go. Jack Tovey in towards turn 4. Was on the gravel there as he broke, and he goes across the racetrack, very nearly collecting one of the Mercedes. That was pretty close. But in the end, Toby gets a lucky escape on the way down into the hairpin. This is Shannon Corbett, who is in the Mustang on the power out of Siberia, going for a spin as well. These GT3s do have traction control, but they do not have, anti-spin control, or whatever that be called. They can still go around, especially in these conditions. Stephen Scully, big contact with Brody Duff, is that? It has to be, doesn't it? That's a Ferrari. Oh no! Goodness gracious, that's a big hit there. Coming up to Lukey Heights. Stephen Scully is going to be in the pit lane for a very long time. Engine broken, front right wheel isn't attached properly anymore. That's one of the bigger crashes we've seen this season.
And that was just an absolutely massive hit that came out of nowhere. As we see, I think we just saw Zach Vlietstra spin off in the very background of that shot, actually. But it's just so slippery for these drivers. It seems like the only one who's really managed to master it is Buhagiar out front here, who's out to a 7-second lead. Obviously, last week he was promoted to the win with that post-race penalty assessed to Matt Webber. He's got an opportunity here in the championship, Ewan. He's only about 10 points behind now, despite the dominance that Webber's displayed early in the season. This is a great opportunity for Buhagiar, and he is taking control.
It's a good chance for Dobbins and Heath as well, but Dobbins is certainly not taking it as we mentioned. But as I say, Buhagiar certainly is, and this may well become a drop round for Matt Webber. But we'll see just how things get towards the end of this race. He's already been up and down a couple of times, though. Inside the top 8 and then outside of it twice. Now he's down in 11th place. There he is. But look at the gaps that are already starting to form here. That so much of this is going to be about survival. And I think they might not be as many fights as we normally see in these races, but there's going to be a lot to watch because the amount of errors and back and forth there's going to be. Brody Daff and Anthony Capin, meantime, for 14th position, continue to fight around. Jay Stern is there as well. Oh dear, that's right. Brody Daff has got no front end on that Ferrari at all, and seems to be limping a little bit with that damage coming at the end of lap number 4. So he'll be looking forward to the pit stops and getting that repaired.
I think that contact with Stephen Scully may have done quite a bit of damage to Brody's Ferrari there, and I imagine that we'll probably see something about that incident in the protest channel after this race, because it didn't look great from our perspective. But certainly for Brody Daff, that's going to be a loss of a lot of performance on that Ferrari. He's kind of just backing up traffic right now, and it's probably going to be in his best interest to come in and get that fixed at some point.
Yep, he's sticking it out there for the moment, but how much longer can this go on for? Damien Coates, meantime, is dropping down the field now from the top 10. That puts Matt Webber back inside the top 10. He's now on the back of Joe De La Rosa, actually, for 9th place. Jordan Nelson, Shannon Corbett change positions. There's Coates. He's sat on the outside and he's waiting to get rejoined, and there's a couple of drivers going deep there and going off the road. Dale Horn and David Noden were the two. Let's see what happened here to Damien Coates. Down on the brakes, he's a bit too deep, bit wide, and goes into a spin. And unfortunately, because I mentioned this field is, there's going to be less battles. Oh dear, somebody depositing a Mercedes front end, and this might explain why. In sympathy, Bradley Austin hits a different Mercedes, and the front bumper of that one flies off to the outside of turn 4 as well. So not only have we got the conditions to survive here, but a lot of them suffering with damage here early on.
That's right, and turn 4 seems like somewhere where these drivers are really, really starting to struggle on the brakes. We've seen a few incidents there in just the last lap or so, almost as if to prove my point. We see Shannon Corbett have a little bit of a half spin there, only loses a couple positions off it. But it's just the braking distances get so much longer in the rain. I think so much longer even than you're really expecting. And it's just so easy to either go into the back of someone else or get onto the curbing and run a little bit wide like what we saw Damien Coates do. And once you're out there, if there's a line of cars behind you, you could lose 10, 15 positions in one go with very little recourse. Sometimes you make one mistake and you're just going to have to spend your entire race fighting back from that one tiny error. Conditions are so unforgiving here in the rain.
There's a spin for Rob Tilley. Oh dear, this could be difficult. There's a grass bank there that you can very easily get stuck on, even in the dry. And so Tilley's going to have to... Oh dear, this is awkward, isn't it? 3-point turn, 5-point turn now, as he has to reverse again.
I believe that's what we refer to in the industry as Austin Powersing it, Ewan.
Yeah, between the racetrack and the oncoming traffic, and indeed that grass bank on the right-hand side. Big news from second, as Nicholas Heath has spun. So that was Carl Douglas in the Porsche in the background of that shot there going past. And that's because of Nicholas Heath's spin through the bottom of the racetrack there, turn 10. So he's back on and going again, and he's still third. Such is the gap, by the way. The gap from first to fourth is already 26 seconds after only 6 laps. That's an average of about 4.3, 4.4 seconds a lap that Bahagia is getting over the rest of the field. But Heath drops to third place on a day where he's also got to be trying to gain as many points as possible over Matt Webber.
Well, Heath, I think, will have to be a little upset with himself for that unforced spin there, because he's another one of those drivers, as you mentioned, who's got an opportunity to make up a ton of points on our championship leader and to make up some points on Lewis Buhagiar as well. Nicholas Heath is someone who's still very much right in the thick of this championship chase, and while he's still in third, it's going to be a challenge to fight back those 6 seconds back up to Kyle Douglas. And I think at this point, barring a mistake from the 18 car, Heath can maybe kiss the win of this race goodbye after that spin.
Yeah, maybe. It's very much in the hands of Lewis Buhagiar, I would say, based on what we've seen so far. That much is looking pretty certain now. But we'll continue to look throughout the field for different battles. Unfortunately, Shannon Corbett has had a very, very difficult race so far. And there's another spin, this time through turn 1. And avoiding the wall. I'm amazed that they've managed to have so many spins through there and avoid the wall. A hesitant rejoining of the racetrack of the oncoming traffic, and there comes one of the McLarens to the outside that I think was off. Was that Dale Horn, I think? Yeah, it was, going wide through turn 2 as he tried to go around the outside of the Mustang. Now, is this Keith again on a different lap through turn 10, or is this another look? Oh no, it is turn 10. This time ends up on the outside of the racetrack. So that's never a good sign. When you see consecutive laps and a mistake at the same corner, you understand in conditions like this that a driver is really struggling with the conditions at this corner. Although, to be fair to him, so is Matt Webber. Down on the brakes towards turn 10. He now goes for a half spin.
And it's been turn 4 and turn 10 today, Ewan, that have caught a lot of drivers out. And for Heath, that's not going to be such a big deal. That's going to keep him in third. But like you touched on, you don't want to see a driver just struggling with the same corner over and over again. So it's going to be something to watch for Nicholas and for Matt as well, if they get that corner figured out over the course of the race and if they can start to make some time back, or if it's going to be something that we're going to see him struggle with for the rest of the day. And it's going to be highly dependent on if rain continues to move in, if it gets worse, if it gets better as well. I'm really curious to see how things develop in the next 10 laps or so here for our pit strategy as far as the rain goes.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how these conditions change over the course of the day. Halfway, of course, will be about 17 laps in this race, 17, 18 laps. 35 laps, I presume, was a distance, given when we didn't know it was going to rain. So this might be a little bit longer of a race than sometimes what we see. But not if Lewis Buhagiar has anything to say about it. Looks like he's got somewhere to be tonight, because he's absolutely flying at the front of the field. 13.5 seconds ahead of Carl Douglas. I don't think he's made an error yet. If I shouldn't say things like that, of course, but I just have. It seems to me like he's been very, very clean at the front of the field, even despite all the gravel that's ended up on the racetrack, and despite the despite the wet weather conditions. I wonder whether that is the first signs and first starts, and if you see that on the way towards turn 3 of a dry line starting to form. And just as I said, he hasn't made a mistake this race. He's gone off. That is classic. I should never have said that, but it does seem to me like the rain has stopped and there is the startings of a dry line beginning to form here. Not suggesting that it's dry weather conditions or even close to it for the next few moments, but does seem that there are lighter patches on the road now starting to appear.
We are seeing that, and I think we are seeing a couple cars start to come into the pit lane as well. Here's Brody Daff. Now, the thing to watch here is going to be if Brody goes on to dry tires when he comes in here to fix that damage. It would be a bit of a gamble. I think it would be too early, but for some of these drivers who are already down the order, who've already hit trouble, I don't think it would kill you, and we are going to see Brody Daff go on to the dry tires now. It's it's going to be interesting to see, but I do think you can make it to the end from here if you take a full tank of fuel. And these cars start on half a tank, so you should be able to make it about another 25 laps with a full tank. I would keep an eye on Brody because he could prove to be the biggest winner on this strategy gamble or the biggest loser.
Well, indeed, he's going to be the guinea pig, that's for sure. Matt Webber goes through into 6th, and as soon as he does, goes off. And we'll see him here in a moment with Jaron Justice coming through. There he is, back onto the racetrack again through Lukey Heights. Oh, careful on the inside there. The understeer there was just sending him in towards Bradley Austin, who is now going to hang back and take that 8th place back again. But Matt Webber is taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back in this race quite often. Patrick Robinson now comes into the pit lane. Bradley Austin as well. Are these guys deciding that dry tyres are the way to go as Lewis Bahadja has a brief off-track moment? We'll keep an eye on Brody Daff here in the next few moments, but I think Daff's dry tyre experiment has started out quite well, and others might be starting to take note of that.
It seems like it, and you can just see it on the camera there. You can see the dry line starting to form down the start-finish stretch, and I think these drivers are all certainly starting to notice it as well. We'll have to see how these guys do over the next lap or so, but if they do well, I predict we're going to see an incredibly chaotic pit cycle with nearly the entire field coming in because nobody wants to be the last car out on wet tires and get left out.
Oh, this was earlier in the lap. Bradley Austin hitting Patrick Robinson and letting Matt Webber go through effectively there. It's a strange place to do it, but I guess decided already. And they were side by side, at least to have a front bumper back again. Shannon Corbett, meantime, down into turn 10. Late on the brakes. Oh dear, contact with one of the Corvettes and just stopping there to make sure that David Noden, it was, didn't get spun all the way round in one of the few Corvettes in this field here this season. Samuel Mader has just gone off the road, and that's promoted Corbett a position, by the way, in the last couple of moments. This is a replay of it just after it's happened. A spin on the exit of the hairpin, getting on the power too soon. That's a strange creature on that car. I don't know what that is, but anyway, Mader has got on the power there too early and gone into a spin through the hairpin. There's so much to watch at the moment. The leader, though, is into the pit lane. Lewis Bahadja decides to pit for dry tyres. Last time round, Brody Daff did a dry tyre run, though, I think, and that was no quicker than before. It does look, though, like dry tyres are the way forward to go, so we'll see whether it rains again later, but this could be the only stop of the race for the race leader.
That it could be, Ewan, and honestly, if I'm Lewis here, I don't know about stopping that lap. We're seeing a lot of the cars, even on wet tires, continue to struggle with the conditions, and obviously that's not something we've seen from Lewis. He really hasn't put a foot wrong in this race, other than a couple of very minor mistakes that haven't really affected him. But when you've got the gap that he has, I would think you might want to just stay out another lap on the wet tires, just to make sure you're going to come out in a safe situation. You've got a 14-second gap to the field or something. I think he's played it a little risky here, but Lewis Bahadja is never a driver who wants to play it safe. He always wants to push as hard as possible, and that's what we're seeing here. I don't think it's going to matter either way. Lewis seems like he's got this race under control.
Yeah, I think so. But I agree with you. I think it's a strange call to come in from the lead there when you're under such little pressure. To take the risk there is strange to me. But anyway, Nicholas Heath goes off, by the way, on the way into pit lane. I don't think it was a crash or anything, just a short off-track moment. And Jason Snedden follows in as well. Trying to see if there's... Martin Walker did a personal best on dry tyres last time around. So, and Brody Daff set the overall best lap of the race last time around. And to be fair, that was nearly 3 seconds quicker than Lewis Bahadja's best. So, having seen that, I probably would have come in. However, not before it. It turns out, though, Lewis Bahadja has made the right call. Meantime, off the road for Kyle Douglas, who has been on the pit lane already, but has spun coming out of turn number 10. And, just because they're on the dry tyres doesn't mean these conditions are getting easier. In fact, the opposite, I would suggest. There are still lots of wet patches on this racetrack.
Exactly, Ewan. And as we see a major incident coming out of the pit lane there, looks like Nicholas Heath coming out might have caught one of the McLarens. I think that could have been Tim Pattinson. We're going to have to see a replay for sure. But what I was about to say before that happened is that anytime you have cars going too wide, cars coming into the pits, cars coming out of the pits, cars rejoining from going off the track, it's going to be especially dangerous because you've got large patches of standing water and a lot of cars on dry tires. And it didn't look like Nicholas Heath made any contact there. It was just the trick of the camera angle.
And that was.
We've got.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, we've got Damien Coates in the pits now with a meatball flag. Looks like he's got some significant damage to repair on that car.
Yeah, we'll have to see what that's all about for car 17, the Lamborghini, the one of two Lamborghinis in the field, still on wet tyres when it happened, and there you can see that's very much the minority call now, as going for the dries was earlier on, but first 10 laps of this race with the treaded tyres, and then the rest of it without. Luis Bahagia, off and spinning through the final turn. He's trying to get on the power as soon as possible there and goes around. And his lead, luckily for him, is still 25 seconds, but shows that he is still susceptible to a spin through the final turn. And look at that gravel he's brought onto the racetrack as well, onto the racing line. The stones will be continued to be picked up for the next few moments. Jay Stearns looking for dry or wet patches on the racetrack here. So's David Noden. This is very interesting now, because if these guys can get a little bit further in the race, do we reckon that the others still have to stop again in this race? Because the likes of Bahagia and so on came in on lap 10. Can they do the last 25 laps of this race without stopping, do you think?
I would think so. I have not seen the fuel data, but I would imagine, based off of what I've been told by the other drivers in this race, I had a lot of conversations with Lucas Blake, who unfortunately could not be in the field tonight. And given the fact that you're going to be able to take a full tank of fuel at your pit stop, I would imagine, yes, all the drivers who have stopped are not necessarily going to have to stop again on fuel. I might end up being wrong there, as we see Zach Vlietstra now come in, and we're down to a few stragglers left on the wet tire. But I think for the most part, this is going to be a one-stop race, Ewan.
And you can see the advantage now of the dry tyre runners, as Nicholas Heath, who's on the dry tyres, versus David Noden on the wets. He might be able to keep them into a nice operating window here, David Noden, but it's not much use if you're going at the pace they are as things stand. Last time round, they set personal best as well, but they were in the 39s at best there. Jay Stern was in the 41s indeed. So, yeah, it's very difficult to see them carrying on for much longer here, and they are going to come into pit lane as a result. Pit lane, by the way, if they do have to come in again, is going to be very treacherous, because obviously everybody's not driving on it as much as they are on the racetrack, so it will get very, very wet indeed. Has Bahagia been off again here, I wonder, because he has lost a lot of his lead to 8. I wonder whether I was seeing an erroneous time gap earlier on, and actually it was never 25 seconds in the first place, and now an 8-second gap is just more like what it's supposed to be. This is Nicholas Heath, though, with a black flag next to his name. Wonder what that's all about here for the Kiwi, because he's currently in third, and he's going to drop behind Matt Webber with this penalty.
Well, I will keep an eye on our live stewarding chat here. If we get an update from Matthew Searle, our steward for this race, I will let you know. But that is a concerning sight for Nicholas Heath, who was in a great position despite the spin earlier to still bring this home top 3. He may still be here depending on what he's going to have to do with this penalty, whether it's a drive-through, whether it's maybe a stop. Whoa!
Wow, that's Matt Webber with contact. That has to be the other Lamborghini of Damien Coates. Is that where Coates got the meatball, I wonder? Because, well, the car doesn't look too bad, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh, yeah, well, the front right's quite bad, actually. Oh, dear, it's only turning left. That's not... I know this is an anti-clockwise circuit, but that's still not very good. So that's where the meatball came from. I think I'll just bring John in on that. Is that all we've got for Damien Coates as far as an incident is concerned? Because he's we've seen him get a meatball flag down on the pit lane the last couple of moments.
Yeah, that was the only thing that's popped up. We've also got this one here from Manuel Dodds, where we can see his car's been completely reshaped by the contact, and he's got no control over that car whatsoever, but he's been contacted so hard his car's completely reshaped. But certainly Yeah, that is all that we've got for Damien Coates. I think there was another bit of contact just after he came back on track, and I think that it might have been Manuel Dodra that's come round the corner and collecting him. Dodra now registered in 4 back-to-back crashes with his car completely reshaped, basically. But yeah, no, nothing else for Damien Coates, so not 100% sure what's going on. Yeah, the replay just starts us here with him completely stationary, so I think... Oh no, of course it was the contact with Webber. Sorry, yes, here's what led up to it, yeah.
Right, yeah. So yeah, this is what happened. I reason I question it. It just looks like a small amount of contact for a meatball to me, but yeah, that must be it then. On the outside there, and it's clearly damaged Webber because he's been in too. Where's he dropped to now? At 22nd. Goodness me, 21 seconds down on pit lane. Another set of dry tyres perhaps, and 22nd in the field. Matt Webber is a minute and... Oh, and look at that! Lewis Bahagia goes past him. What a symbolic moment in this race at Phillip Island this afternoon. As in the first half of the race, Matt Webber overtaken by the second place driver in the championship, who's only 10 points behind him, is lapped by Lewis Bahagia at Phillip Island. What a moment that is, Boone. Symbolic, if not anything else. It's not actually going to affect this race in any meaningful way, I don't think. But he's 20th place now, Matt Webber, and he's off the lead lap. That is quite unexpected.
A symbolic victory there for Lewis Bahagia, absolutely, and he'll be happy about that. But I can tell you that Matt is already filling this in as his drop week. It takes a lot of his room for error for the rest of the season away, though. If you have a 20th place finish, a 15th place finish, we don't know where he's going to end up here, but it's likely going to be outside the top 10 based off of what we've seen so far. And it just takes away a lot of your room for error when you have one of those on the books already, because it means you can't miss a race due to equipment failures. It means if you get wrecked in a race on lap 1, you don't really have any recourse. It's just going to make things tougher for Matt the rest of the way, and this is just not how he wanted this to go today at all. He was talking before the race like he thought he had a chance to get on pole, and this will just be massively, massively disappointing for our reigning champion today.
Yeah, and indeed championship leader of this season as well. Oscar Dobbins had a difficult first stint, but since it's dried out or come to these sort of mixed conditions, he's going a lot better. And he's now passed Jason Snedden for 4th place. That was quite easy for Dobbins, really. Moving up to 4th. Bradley Austin is next in line in the 3rd place, just up in front. And it looks like Dobbins might be able to get past him in the next few moments as well. Personal best last time round for Dobbins. He actually holds the fastest lap of the race of anybody, although that was a second slower that time round. So how can that be a personal best? Did I say that, or did I say that in my head? Anyway, 29.7 is just about a second off the fastest lap of the race, which he has. There indeed are the fastest laps, and that is about a second faster than anybody else has managed so far in this race, which is quite something. We are only, though, halfway through this race here tonight, Boone. It's a remarkable race here from Phillip Island tonight. Changeable conditions. We might well have seen all of the rain, but even if that is all the rain, we've seen it sprinkle quite a lot of drama on this race.
Well, it was a chaotic opening half of the race here, and I don't think we're quite done yet as Shannon Corbett's rough day continues. He has just not been able to master the wet weather conditions today. We've seen that Mustang pointed backwards more often than forwards on our cameras today. But it's been chaotic, and there's still a little bit of standing water on the track. There's a lot of gravel on the track at various different corners, and we don't know that the rain's not going to move back in. That would completely upend everything. But Lewis Bahagia out front, starting to extend his lead again. He's back up to almost 11 seconds over Kyle Douglas, and I think as this track dries out, Lewis can start to breathe a little bit easier. And I am hearing from Matt right now that we have an update on the Nick Heath black flag, if we want to go over to Matt for that.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yep, so me and Scott, both in the steward's booth tonight, we both agreed that this was avoidable contact by Nick Heath as he was exiting the pits. He sort of just loses the rear end a little bit and starts to pull out onto the track a little bit too early. He also slightly crossed that white line a little bit early as well. So just a drive-through penalty of him, nothing too serious, not reckless or anything, but yeah, he did collect the other driver pretty badly there.
Just if I can hold on to you for a second, Matt, just generally about how the stewards have seen this race go so far in sort of different and more difficult conditions than we've seen at any point this season. How have you sort of seen how this race is going standards-wise?
Very busy for us so far. Obviously, a lot of contact, which you usually get in these kind of conditions. But yeah, a lot to go on. And so far, the only penalty that we've handed out has been to Nick Heath.
All right, we'll let you get on with the rest of it. I understand it's going to be a very busy afternoon indeed in race control. Only 18 laps complete here of this race at Phillip Island here tonight. 17 to go as they come across the line this time around. That was Matt Searle on the race control team here tonight. In the Tasman Racing League Road Series. I'm Ewan O'Leary alongside Boone Blake and John Wright in the commentary box here on TrackSpotTV tonight. And we rejoin this battle for third place. Bradley Austin being caught by Oscar Dobbins, who again here, Boone, is just really flying. Last time, that's too late on the brakes though through turn 9. He did well not to go straight off there, but last time round he was half a second quicker than Austin. This time round he might still be only fractionally quicker than Austin, but that was a very near off-track moment for him, and he did well not to go completely off into the grass and gravel there.
Well, I want to be careful what I say here because our commentator's curse has been devastating tonight, but I think Oscar Dobbins has been fantastic. He had the early spin, but he's shown a lot of what he's shown throughout the season when he's been one of the most underrated drivers, where he's encountered a lot of adversity in these races, but he's able to fight back through the field. He's able to put his head down, not make mistakes, and more often than not get himself back into an extremely, extremely solid position. And now, with over 15 laps to go in this race, Dobbins is challenging for the podium, and I think it's probably a matter of time until he takes that third place away from Bradley Austin at the rate that he's closing. Just an excellent, excellent drive in very challenging conditions from Oscar today.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct, as Jay Stern, meantime, is going to get past Jordan Nelson. Oh, I thought Nelson was actually letting him go there, and indeed he is, so there we go. Just decides to do it on the brakes there. And towards turn 4. Dobbins, meantime, over the line is really close to Austin. In towards turn 1's not quite a overtaking chance. Late on the brakes into turn 2 last time, don't forget, here was Dobbins, and he won't be quite this late this time round. Austin just slips a little bit wide there, but you do diamond off the corner like that, looking for a late apex. So that's not the worst thing in the world. Coming down the straight now towards the hairpin at turn 4. Dobbins is too far back here, so could this be where the sort of difficulties in overtaking you sometimes see at Phillip Island, especially in faster cars like these, and those with less slipstreaming opportunities perhaps than others? Are we starting to see the beginnings of a difficulty in terms of overtaking here, as Oscar Dobbins is, at the moment, seemingly stuck behind Bradley Austin?
I think that is what we're seeing, Ewan, and we know that Bradley Austin is a very good defensive driver. He's put on a number of excellent defensive driving shows for us over the weeks here in TRL, but I think we're seeing not only the overtake as Louis Buhadra off the track. We'll see if he saves it. It looks like he does. That was a hair-raising moment for Buhadra at the front, though. He's had a couple of those now, and I think you've got to just put it in bring it home mode for Lewis at this point. He's got the lead. He's got a 12-second advantage over Kyle Douglas. He just needs to be careful with this car. It would be devastating to lose this win.
Absolutely, it would. This is Dobbins. Oh, look at that dive down the inside. That was nicely done. A lot of confidence in the racetrack there, because it's damp offline still in places, but Dobbins was committed on the inside on the brakes down into turn 10, and Dobbins gets through into the podium places. So these drier conditions certainly suiting Oscar Dobbins a lot more, and I wonder whether the top names are going to start to get towards the top now because of this. Matt Webber is still down in 20th with a lot of work to do, but set the fastest lap last time round. It is on the back of Jordan Nelson, and indeed just got past into 17th. Sorry, I don't know where I thought. I'm seeing 19th on my screen, but 17th on the tower there. This is how he did it down in towards turn 10. Oh, nice and easy on the brakes, although the Mustang there stopped on the inside would have been a bit of a fright to Matt Webber, who does indeed get to the inside and get through. This is Manuel Dodderer, who is slow, and that is the driver, I think, who has stopped there just as Webber was sliding through the middle. So that was pretty hair-raising, but Matt Webber does indeed move up to what seems to be 17th position, and now on the back of Jay Stern as well, who's on the back of Dale Horn. So the next few positions are to be picked off in the next few moments by Webber. He's going to get past Horn pretty easily there on in the McLaren, who's going slowly there. And now Jay Stern in towards the next corner. Matt Webber just picking them off time and again. He can't quite do that though. We're in towards 15th place. In towards turn 4, although the exit, he's going to be on the outside by the time they get to Siberia now. On the outside line goes Webber. He's going to come right round here, although Stern's not going to let him have it easily. This is the problem for Webber now. He might be quicker than the rest in the dry conditions, but they're not going to let him past.
No, these guys still have a lot to fight for. And Matt driving through the midfield here might feel like he's playing Forza with all the difficulty sliders turned down. As he gets into the back bumper of Jay Stern there, I imagine we might see something about that after the race. That didn't seem entirely necessary. But it's going to be a challenge for Matt to work his way through. Obviously, there's still a little bit of spray when you get offline, especially in the second half of this racetrack. And the curtain is drawn closed for Matt Webber on getting an excellent finish in this race, but he can certainly still get a decent recovery drive with a lot of points, and it's going to give him a cushion to potentially use a different race as his drop round later in the season. So still plenty to fight for here for the number 1 Lamborghini of Matt Webber today. Yeah,
absolutely. Even if this score doesn't count by the end of the season, you want that safety net to fall back on with a drop round in a series. But Matt Webber's got 15 seconds to catch up to Samuel Mader in front. To be fair, we've seen a lot of mistakes around here tonight, which have provided chances to actually catch up a lot quicker than you'd normally be able to. However, you do wonder whether Webber can cross that margin in the amount of time we've got remaining. 13 laps to go as they get to the line next time round. Although, to be fair, they are a lap down, these guys. So that does change things a little bit. It'll be 12 to go, therefore, when they get to the line here, as it is for Lewis Bahadja, who's leading this race by more than 15 seconds at the moment. Oscar Dobbins is getting rid of Bradley Austin, meantime, for third place, and this is by far the closest battle on the racetrack. Jordan Nelson trying to get past Dale Horn at the moment, and not going to manage it down in towards turn 10, although this corner has become one of the favourite overtaking chances so far in this race, which is interesting to me, because it is a difficult corner to get on the brakes for as late as possible on your own, but it's being used as an overtaking chance by people now.
I think just the overtaking opportunities at this track in these cars are so limited that you've got to be a little bit bold to get it done.
Who's that?
And that, I think, that would have been looks like it was
Robinson, I think.
Yeah, Patrick Robinson is the name. Thank you there. But Brody Daff just a little too late on the brakes. Maybe had a bit of a lockup. We'll see what happened here.
Oh, well, that does tell a different story. It's Rafael Custodio, by the way, is in the Mercedes. That does tell a different story, because he was moving quite late before the braking zone there, and that could change how race control sees that. But Daff did still get into the back of the car in front, which might be the bottom line. Daff now into the top 10, and I think a good show from Daff really on how bravery can get you somewhere in one of these races, because Brody Daff was a long way down the back end of the field at the earlier stages of this race here today, but now is into the top 10, partly as a result of that early call to take the dry tyres.
That absolutely was courageous by Brody Daff. If you'll remember, he was last on the road at one point in this race, came in a full lap before anyone else did. We said he'd be the guinea pig. We said that he was either going to be the biggest winner or the biggest loser from the pit cycle, and he's turned out to be the biggest winner. Very, very good call by Brody Daff to pit that early.
It's turned out right this time round, that's for sure. As David Noda, meantime, tries to lap this Mercedes to keep Shannon Corbett at bay. Amazing that Corbett is still battling for a top 10 here, despite all of the incidents of the day. 12th place at the moment for Corbett, and that was very near contact down in towards the hairpin. Custodio is there next in line. Seems to have disappeared from the timing screen completely here in the last couple of moments, unless I just can't see. But is on the relative. Meantime, Webber gets past Jay Stern, So that was crossed quite quickly, that gap. Although Stern, to be fair, has gone backwards rather than Webber going forwards. That gives Webber 15th place, so 17 seconds up to Samuel Major still. I'm still sceptical that he's going to be able to get there, to be honest, in 10 laps.
I would never want to count Matt Webber out, but at this point he's going to have to average like a second and a half per lap faster than Samuel Meter, and I'm just not sure if you want to push that hard in these conditions for 14th place if you're Matt Webber. I don't think the difference between 14th place points and 15th place points is really necessarily worth it, because the last thing you want to do if you're Matt here is to try to push that hard to catch him, lose it, and end up in like 23rd.
Well, this is true. He will want to get at least some points on the board tonight, even if it's not going to be quite as many as he would have been hoping for at the beginning. Lewis Bahadja is going to get all the points, so it looks from tonight, over 20 seconds of a gap in front of the rest. Look at that. He is by far and away the fastest, most consistently fastest driver in this field here today. And is this going to move him into the championship lead? Well, it's going to get him very, very close. That is for sure. It's not going to get him certainly in the race lead, but the championship lead, sorry. But as I say, it might get him very, very close indeed. He's qualified on pole. He doesn't have the fastest lap at the moment, but this is a statement more than anything. I think the next key, I think, for everybody is, what about in a clean, dry race all the way through, like what we might well get at Road Atlanta next week? Can they stay with Matt Webber then? Or is it only when the conditions are changeable like this? Oh, as Bahadja goes for a spin now through Lukey Heights. Well, he's not going to hit anything. He's got a very big lead. So he's going to get away with that. But even the race leader getting tripped up by this racetrack here. Well, that's a spin to the outside for Lewis Bahadja, as Brody Daft does indeed get a black flag. I suspect for that incident we just saw with Custodio there, who did go on the defensive. Daft didn't react, went straight into the back of him, and it's unfortunate really that Brody Daft is going to lose a top 10 in that way.
Oh, yes it is. Sorry, I've been hiding in the background. Apologies, folks. I've been leaving Ewan to do maximum amount of heavy lifting today on the stream. I'm a wee touch under the weather. He's doing a phenomenal job, though. I love just sitting here watching and listening. But yeah, Brody Daft, the latest driver to pick up a black flag. That's going to see him drop a couple of positions now. Where is he currently? 10th place. He's already down 7 on where he started. So a tough race. Himself and Nicholas Heath both losing positions in the top 10. Everyone else in the top 10 either gaining or, in Lewis Bahadja's case, staying exactly where he started, with a 21 second lead. So he lost 4 seconds on that last spin, but it's a drop in the ocean as we see coming into the pit lane Brody Daft, yes, to take his drive through straight away, while there's still more battles going on. Dale Horn and Jay Stern and Jordan Nelson all still going away with it. But yeah, certainly an interesting week for me to be not well and throw you under the bus, Ewan, and give you all this all the work to do on your own up at the front, because it has been absolutely wild this week, and it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any quieter, for the next 8 laps. Well, yeah, indeed. Boone's been with me. To be fair, it's not been bad at all. We have just lost Boone for the last couple of minutes, by the way. That's why you hear me talking to myself for the minute, and then John coming in. But rain! Oh, I saw a flash of rain there on the screen. Are we going to see yet more drama towards the end here with a little bit of rain? You can see the wipers going as well towards turn number 1 there for Jay Stern and Dale Horn. On board with Lewis Bahadja, that is proper rain, and this race does have another twist. Well, I thought the rain was over, and I think many will have done as well, but if anyone had concerns about making it on fuel to the end of this race, then they've just been absolved, because they might even have to come in for another stint on the wet tyres before this race is over. This is yet another big strategy call for everybody to make. Yeah, it certainly makes it interesting. It's only raining, it seems, at one part of the track. Now that we're back up through the higher section. There you go. The rain back on, so mixed conditions over the course. This is, Strategy Guidebook 101 straight out the window. It's now, it's in the hands of the gods. And yeah, big thank you to Boone as well. He's been phenomenal today as well, but certainly it's an interesting call here. Look how hard the rain is on the start-finish straight. That is incredible. So it seems to be the start of Sector 1 and the end of Sector 3. We've got rain at the moment, and the drivers, with 6 laps left to go, have got an interesting margin call here, because Brodie Daft's just gone off track, Lester's just gone off, Custodia's just gone off, and Shannon Corbett has just gone off, and there goes Brodie Daft back off track. Dale Horn, Matt Webber's just gone off track as well. They are struggling out there, and we're seeing a few people coming into the pits now.
Well, the rain is heavy, and so we are seeing stops happen. Webber was actually following Bahagia closer than I thought, but he got on the power too soon out of turn 2. Oh, and he's up. Oh, dear. Very lucky there that he didn't go up that little bit of a ridge and get stuck, because there are a number of places at this venue where you can get stuck with the grass and whatever. That's Dale Horn, who's been off through turn 2 as well. Oh, and he spins, getting back on again. These conditions are treacherous. There's only 6 laps to go, but they might not even be able to go that far on these dry tyres. Look at the spray that's being kicked up here, and the drama that we've seen. Samuel Mader goes wide through into turn 2, and I was worried about that Mustang, but in the end it wasn't approaching quite as quickly as I thought. Wow, what a couple of moments this has turned into. AJ Gilroy has gone off as well here into a spin out of turn 4, so Gilroy's struggling as well to get the power down. Okay, that's I wasn't expecting that. I thought that but you're right, Gilroy is on wet tyres, so I'm not entirely sure how that's all happening. Meantime, Bahagia is into the pit lane here, and so are many others as well here at Boone. It's remarkable that we've seen such a late change in the weather here, and such heavy rain as well.
Yeah, well, I was only gone for a few laps. Viewers, if you do not know, I am currently running my setup off of a mobile Wi-Fi hotspot connected to my laptop, and it is not the most reliable. So I apologize for the connection issues, but yeah, I was gone for 3 or 4 minutes, and it looks like I've missed some pretty major developments. Would you guys mind filling me in on what's been going on here?
Well, it's just started to rain, really, which is the only change, really, and a couple of guys going off the road as a result. The replay, just as or the run of replays you saw, just as you rejoined, was pretty much the incidents that we've seen, and though they are continuing. Anthony Kappen going for a half spin here and getting underway very gingerly out of the 10th corner. This is Patrick Robinson on the brakes there. We're going to be seeing quite a few drivers having trouble. There you go, on the power through turn 10. Just indeed going slowly as well, trying to get round the corner. A bit of a problem. Jay Stern as well, getting on the power out of the final turns, and he goes into a spin as well. Well, goodness me, these are very, very difficult conditions here in the final laps of this race. It's going to be a case of tiptoeing to the line for the likes of Luis Bahagia and everybody else in this field. Not anybody is staying out there on the dry tyres at the moment, but Matt Webber just seems to be really struggling in these wet conditions, and here he is going a little bit wide through turn 2. Actually survives okay through there on the power out of turn 2. He gets away with that, so he's up still in 14th place, might be 13th in a moment. Timing screen's looking weird today. Shannon Corbett going for a spin though out of turn number 2. This is just going to continue on relentlessly in these next 5 laps towards the end of this race.
Well, I think this might be the heaviest rain that we've seen all race. Remember, it wasn't terrible at the start. If you just look at the amount of spray that these cars are kicking up, even on the only remaining dry-ish line, I think that this is the worst conditions have been. And it's coupled with every driver is just trying to squeeze as much as they can out of these last 5 laps, and we're just seeing so many little incidents here and there. It's going to be chaotic the rest of the time as we've got Bradley Austin, it looks like, into the pit lane from 11th position, now dropping down the order. But we're obviously not going to see anyone stay out on dry tires. I think the drivers who waited 1 or 2 laps to come in are going to be at a bit of a disadvantage here just because this has moved in so suddenly and it's gotten severe in such a short amount of time. But we're going to be in for an interesting finish here.
Matt Webber still struggling through turn 1 this time. The spin comes for the number 1 and just avoided by the BMW. Good avoidance there. And fortunately, there's no contact between the two of them. That would have been Jordan Nelson, by the way, who went past there in the BMW, gaining a place in the process. But this is going to be a very difficult end to this race. Ben Christian gets past David Noden, meantime, who's off through Lukey Heights. That's top 10 now for Ben Christian, but not the biggest movement forward. That goes to Samuel Mader, who's up 19 places so far in this race. Started pretty much last of the 29 that 20 or 30 odd that started this race. I think it was 29 in the end. We've seen Samuel Mader make up more places than anybody else, and that's a fantastic drive from him.
Well, 3 cars here, sorry. 10 places or more. That would be Samuel Mader in 9th, Ben Christian in 10th, and David Noden in 11th, although that may not last for Noden as he is currently in the pits, it looks like. But just, as you were saying, a phenomenal drive for Samuel Mader. We haven't seen a whole lot of him today, but when we have seen him, he really hasn't put a foot wrong. He's just been quietly picking off positions, and he's on track for a very good result here if he can keep it together for the last 3 laps of the race.
Well, that's where we're at now. 3.5 laps remaining. Lewis Bahagia leads, meantime, by nearly 50 seconds. I mean, it's an extraordinary gap at the front of this race. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we thought some of the winning margins of Matt Webber were big earlier on in the season. 16.6 seconds at Daytona and 17.9 at Spa. Lewis Bahagia's victory last week was, to be fair, pretty close as well. Pretty big, as far as the winning margin as well. 35 seconds in the end after everything post-race had been and gone. But this is on another level. I actually think he could get to a minute here before the end of this race, and that would be something absolutely remarkable. It's not like he hasn't made errors here, Bahagia, but he's made less than the others, and that has kept him on the straight and narrow. It's kept him extending this race lead, and I think he's going to win this race by more than a minute.
Buhagia's made errors, but even when he's making errors in the rain, he's quicker than pretty much everyone else in the field when they're not making errors. He's just come out and staked a claim to his dominance in the rain here, and it's something that we haven't really seen in these conditions so far this season, just because we haven't had a real wet weather race all the way through like this one. But Buhagia has come out and he said, I'm the most dominant driver in this series in the rain. I'm going to put this race on my back. I'm going to win by 50 seconds after spinning multiple times. It's just been, I think, the best performance that we've seen in his entire time in the Tasman Racing League from Lewis Buhagia today. This has been phenomenal.
That's been very good indeed from Lewis Bahagia, who continues to lead at the front of the field. Meantime, Oscar Dobbins is having trouble here. A lot more difficulties for him in the wet than there was in the dry. I think he's going pretty well around this circuit when it's dry, but the wet conditions are holding him back tonight. 4th place now. He's slipped behind Jason Snedden, and Nicholas Heath is actually right behind him now as well. So that's 2 championship rivals there, who were 3rd and 4th in the championship coming into tonight, fighting it out for 4th position. And Heath there is under pressure from some lap cars as well. That's Gilroy and Daff, who are not far behind. I think Jordan Nelson has disappeared as well at the moment, so I wonder whether there's been... Oh no, he's back again. So I think something weird's happening with the timing screen at the moment. Gilroy doesn't seem to be appearing on it at all, and you can see in the relative on the bottom right there's just a dash next to his name, as if he's sort of not in this race at all. So something weird's happening here today, but anyway, not much we can do about that. when we select him, he's got a position. So, I don't know, make sense of that. Anyway, Dobbins goes wide meantime, and Nicholas Heath is going to get 4th place after all. Well, is he? Side by side, through into Lukey Heights. It's going to, contact, and they're off! Both of them off the road into Lukey Heights. It was never going to work. Side by side, and Dobbins gets back on right in front of Heath. The lap cars get through. Heath still can't find his way past here as they fight it out for 4th position. Here comes the move down the inside at turn 10. He's going to get there. Jumps it down the inside. There's contact between the two. Dobbins on the outside holds the place. A very, very high-stakes battle at the end between two championship rivals for 4th position. They're avoiding lap cars. It's all happening here as they come to the penultimate lap.
That was very, very close between Dobbins and Heath. They nearly both lost all of this progress that they've made back over the course of this race. And Nicholas Heath obviously not very happy with Oscar Dobbins there. We saw the flashing of the lights as we see Matt Webber go around once again. A race to forget for the championship leader. But I think it's hard to tell who's at fault between Dobbins and Heath there. It was never going to work going side by side, trying to pass lapped traffic in these conditions. I'm just curious to see how this battle plays out the rest of the time as we see Heath have a bit of a moment. He goes sideways, and that might give Dobbins the run that he needs to get away, extend now, and close out this 4th place finish. It's going to be, looks like about a 1.1 second gap as they come towards the white flag. So Heath's got a little bit of ground to make up. He's losing time now. He's back to about, it looks like Dobbins now has had a moment, and he's starting to close the gap again. It's going to be close. It's going to, I think, come down, Ewan, to whoever makes the last mistake between Oscar and Nicholas for who's going to get 4th place today.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it because they're not actually that far in front of Bahagia, who has lapped everybody all the way up to Tim Pattinson in 6th. There's only 6 cars on the lead lap. That is pretty extraordinary when you consider how competitive this field normally is. And still is, to be fair now, but the weather conditions affecting this a lot, that is for sure. To give you some perspective, by the way, the first race 16 cars stayed on the lead lap at Daytona. At Spa, the longest circuit we've had so far, and we will have 19 cars and 12 cars last week. Even in the chaos at Adelaide, we've had even half of that here today. What a dominant drive from Lewis Bahagia. Dominance like we've not seen before in this season of the Tasman Racing League Road Series. Lewis Bahagia is going to maybe put a lap on a couple more drivers as De La Rosa and Martin Walker just run in front of him. He's not going to be desperate to lap them again here, but De La Rosa is going to let him go past and secure his 19th place. As out of the final corner comes Lewis Bahagia. It's back-to-back for Bahagia and potentially a tied championship with he and Matt Webber, who will be outside the top 10. Lewis Bahagia wins for the 2nd week in a row, this time in the changeable conditions at Phillip Island, and that is one of the more dominant performances you're ever likely to see. His gap at the line is going to be nearly 1 minute over Carl Douglas.
Well, it counts the same as his win last week, but you never want to win on a post-race penalty. You always want to win by just being the fastest guy on track, unquestioned all day, and that's what Lewis was today. They both count the same, but this win is going to feel so much better for the driver of the number 18 machine.
Yeah, he'll actually have the pleasure over the line there as Carl Douglas comes through the final couple of corners. This is a fantastic performance from Douglas. 11th place in the points coming into this race, by the way. Best result, I think, of 4th place back at Daytona, if I'm not mistaken. But this is now his best with a 2nd place here at Phillip Island. Jason Snedden might well get his podium as well. Heath, meantime, and Dobbins are fighting for 3rd position here. The final spot on the podium is on, and Heath has gotten past Dobbins right towards the end of this race. So into 4th place for Heath, and it's going to be 5th for Dobbins in the end. Dobbins fast in the dry conditions, but I think struggled with the wet weather there.
I think so, and it's a shame for Oscar because it looked like he was certainly going to be on for a podium at one point before the rain rolled back in. But there were a few drivers in this race, Matt Webber and Oscar Dobbins towards the front end of our championship field among them. who just could not get the rein figured out today, and we saw them repeatedly just struggling with it. I would like to go back and see a replay of what happened on the last lap for Nicholas Heath to get through, because going on to the lap, he was approximately 1.4 seconds down. There may have been some heroics there. There may have been some contacts there for all we know.
Yeah, maybe. But there's the shot from the air, through the rain, through the mist, of what's been a very interesting race here from Phillip Island here today. Nearly an hour, by the way, for Lewis Bahadja even to complete the 35 laps there. In the end, wins by 55 seconds. Look at that. Carl Douglas gets a best result of the season so far with a second place finish, with Snedden in his first race of the season getting third. Nicholas Heath, Oscar Dobbins ended up fourth and fifth after their late battle there, with further down Tim Pattinson in sixth place. One lap down for Darren Justice. It was the first of many one lap down actually. Patrick Robinson, Samuel Meda and Rafael Custodio round out the top 10. Ben Christian was 11th ahead of Matt Webber, championship leader, who will take this as a drop week from now on. Jordan Nelson finishes 13th in front of Dale Horn and Brady Daff, running out the top 15. Daff the first to go onto the wet tyres earlier, of course, on the dries, sorry. AJ Gilroy and then Martin Walker rounded up those on one lap down in 17th. Then running out the top 20, Jay Stern, Nancy Kappen and Rob Tilley. 21st goes to Joe De La Rosa, 3 laps down in front of Greg Goodfellow, Jacques Validstra and Manro Dodra. David Carney was 4 laps down, just starting on the dry tyres. He very quickly came in for the wets early on, of course. David Noden was 5 laps down with Bradley Austin. Shannon Corbett 7 laps down with late trouble. Stephen Scully got 8 laps down after a long repair. Deming Coach didn't finish the race, neither did Jack Tovey. Scott White was in the race control, and Jeremy Newton and Tate Kendall did not start this race earlier on. Let's have a chat to the drivers who finished on the podium here tonight from Phillip Island in the Tasman Racing League Road Series, starting with Lewis Bahadja, who wins for the second week in a row. Lewis, congratulations on winning here at Phillip Island tonight. How much better does this one feel compared to last week, to have the pleasure of coming across the line first on the racetrack this time round?
It's heaps better. Of course, you always want to win races on track, but you certainly won't say no to 100 points. So this race wins just makes it feel all the much better.
How are the conditions out there? You seem to deal with them so well compared to everybody else. So what was the key in your opinion?
It was certainly very tough. I made a few mistakes, just catching a bit of damp spots and looping me around, but I feel like I wasn't the only one that done that. It was just more brake in a straight line and accelerate in a straight line and just do your best to get through the corner as straight as possible.
Congratulations on getting the race win tonight by the biggest margin we've seen this season, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the race as well.
No worries, and thanks to Hybrid Sim Sports for everything that they do for me.
Thanks very much, Lewis Bahadja, first place here tonight in Phillip Island. Second place goes to Carl Douglas, up 2 places from qualifying in 4th place. Carl, welcome in as well. Good to have you with us for the first time this season, I believe, in a podium position. First thing to say as well to you, what were the conditions like out there tonight, changing a couple of times as they did?
Yeah, mate, thanks very much. Not too familiar with this positioning. The conditions were tricky, but I did pretty well in the wet, I think. Got a few positions at the start, and I was getting reeled in towards the back there when they turned dry, but I was pretty happy when they went wet again.
Did you have the car set up there for the wet weather conditions? And second part to that, what were the sort of predictions like, as far as I know the chances of seeing rain at some point were very, very, very high here today, but what was the outlook in terms of when it was going to rain when you actually started this race?
No, I think we run fixed setup here, but no, we started on wet, so it was just wet from the get-go.
Well, congratulations on getting to second place here tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Carl Douglas second place, ahead of Jason Snedden, who gets into third in the Mustang. Jason, welcome in as well. Good to have you with us. third place in the end, I must say, went under our radar a little bit as some of those ahead of you dropped back, like Nicholas Heath and Oscar Dobbins. Heath with a penalty, Dobbins in the wet weather a little bit later on. But just how important was it to stay out of trouble here tonight among all of those around you going, and around everybody going off the circuit left, right and centre?
Well, I wasn't without my mistakes. The wet kind of threw me a curveball for this one, because I didn't realise that it was actually going to rain. So all my practice was done in the dry. Didn't expect the rain. Not a big fan of the rain. Towards the end, it got quite dicey. I had to slow up a fair bit because the Mustang likes to, the rear end likes to turn around and say hello. So there was a few corners that I messed up on, and turn 2, I thought that was over for me about midway through the race. But quite happy to come home with third. Did not expect it.
Well, I mean, what was it like then going out onto the racetrack, not having that experience, if you like, of wet weather at this venue to sort of fall back on here? That must have been a very difficult sort of voyage of discovery for you to begin with.
Oh, it definitely was. Jumped into the practice, and that was a real eye-opener for me. It's literally like driving on an ice skating rink.
Well, congratulations on surviving it and getting to third tonight, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
No worries, have a good one.
Thanks very much, Jason Sneddon, third place here tonight at Phillip Island. Boone, I mean, that was a fantastic race to watch. Difficult one for the drivers for sure, but the wet weather making its appearance here at Phillip Island today certainly shook things up tonight.
Well, that was a thrilling race, and I think we've said this already once this season, but in my opinion, that was the best race we've had this season just from an entertainment standpoint. Domination out front, as we have, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on who it's happening to, seen oftentimes this season, but it's always nice to see a fresh face. I'm glad it wasn't Matt Webber again. No disrespect to Matt.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is nice from a neutral point of view to see other guys win from time to time. And John Wright, who's been behind the cameras and indeed, occasionally popping in here tonight. John, how have you sort of seen this race? I mean, I can imagine the most chaotic race of the season so far from a camera's point of view. Just so much. There must have been just so much going on there throughout, even the stuff that we didn't maybe catch over the course of the race. There must have just been so much happening, especially when it was raining there.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible race. Huge congratulations to the drivers that made it to the end, especially in the winning position. Extra caveat congratulations as well for Lewis Buhagiar. All 3 races at Tasman Racing League he's won this week. He won the Indies, he won the Ovals, and he's just won the road today. But yes, we could have easily filled 3/4 of the broadcast with replays. I think we almost did at one point. Just have 6 or 7 replays back to back to back to back. With everything going on. A tricky course on the best of days. Today wasn't the best of days for drivers, so they've done phenomenally well. Absolutely action-packed, and I'm kind of almost glad I was too ill to be on the microphone too often, so I could concentrate on bringing the pictures and all the action and replays. But yeah, a phenomenal race. I mean, Tasman Racing League never disappoint. Phillip Island never disappoints. Chucking a bit of rain. Yeah, absolutely wild race, Ewan. Huge congrats to you and Boone for today as well. The stewards will going to have some fun, but yeah, action-packed, start to finish. And yeah, the drivers will be looking forward to some dry weather next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be it's going to be interesting if we see rain again, and how indeed the drivers are going to deal with that over the course of the rest of the season. Next week we're at Road Atlanta, by the way, for 40 laps once again. A very short racetrack round there, of course. So 40 laps to come from Road Atlanta on next week's broadcast, so make sure you join us same time, same place on TrackSpotTV for that. For now, I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside John Wright and Boone Blake here in the commentary box here on TrackSpotTV. We'll all be back for round 5 next week at Road Atlanta. Hope you can all join us then. But for now, from Phillip Island, it's goodbye.